There comes a point in every major sports controversy when the truth becomes impossible to ignore. For weeks, the basketball world has been trapped in a carefully orchestrated campaign of denial. They looked fans in the eye, they looked analysts in the eye, and they tried to convince everyone that keeping Caitlin Clark on the bench was a calculated, strategic move. Brilliant even. They spoke about veteran leadership, they spoke about earning your stripes. They referenced the intricate, unspoken rules of the US national team, but anyone with eyes and a basic understanding of modern basketball could see through it. It wasn't strategy, it was a colossal misstep, a shocking misjudgment of talent. And now, finally, the breaking point has arrived. The dam has burst after Team USA's 101-46 annihilation of New Zealand. Interim head coach Nate Tibbetts stepped up to the podium. He wrapped his words in polite coach speak, attempting to shield the egos of the established stars. But if you pay attention to what he really said, it's as close as you'll ever get to a national team coach admitting a mistake. We're going to dissect this press conference with ruthless precision. We'll cut through the political polish, analyze the box score, and reveal exactly why the coaching staff has painted themselves into a corner. We'll show why Caitlin Clark isn't just a starter. She's the linchpin, the foundation that this team needs to thrive. Here's the scene. Caitlin Clark finally earns the starting spot. The basketball world exhales. But the first minutes against New Zealand, the offense isn't running like a clockwork machine. It's slightly off, a bit hesitant. And when Nate Tibbetts faces the microphones afterward, he addresses that very sluggishness head on.
I think, early game, back-to-back, quick turnaround. We weren't great in the first quarter, and I thought the last three quarters we really stepped up, competed. I thought our second group came in and really set the tone.
Listen carefully to what he actually said. We weren't great in the first quarter. I thought our second group came in and really set the tone. Immediately, the mainstream media and clickbait outlets pounced on this. They tried to spin it as a swipe at Caitlin Clark, claiming the coach was saying she failed in her first start. But anyone who truly understands basketball strategy, the X's and O's, knows the reality. Tibbetts isn't throwing Caitlin under the bus. He's accidentally exposing his own lineup decisions. He's admitting a huge fundamental error in how the team is structured on the floor. When you finally decide to start the most explosive, high-octane, tempo-smashing point guard in the game's history, you don't pair her with another ball-dominant, deliberate, slow-paced point guard. Yet that's exactly what Team USA did. Caitlin Clark was started alongside Chelsea Gray. Gray is a legend, a phenomenal player, but she plays a completely different game. She's a half-court, grinded-out, methodical floor general. Clark, she's a full-speed, transition-loving, logo-to-logo scoring machine. Putting them together creates an immediate tactical conflict. It's like asking a Ferrari to follow a tractor down a one-lane construction zone. Clark is ready to push the pace the second the ball hits the rim, but the hierarchy demands she defer to the veteran, so she hesitates. The spacing collapses. The New Zealand defense, which should have been terrified of the speed, is instead given time to comfortably set up in the half court. Because Team USA is voluntarily walking the ball up. When Nate Tibbetts says the first unit didn't set the tone, he's correct, but not for the reasons people think. It's not a talent problem, it's a chemistry problem. By trying to appease the veterans while also appeasing the public with Clark's start, the coaching staff created a clunky, mismatched starting five.
And that's what you want, right? You want that consistency from group to group. The first group didn't have it, they didn't set the tone. But the
first unit didn't have it. They failed to set the tone. But when the second group hit the floor, everything changed. Let's break down this bench crew that supposedly saved the game. Players like Ryan Howard and Angel Reese were key. Howard exploded for 18 points, hitting 6 of 10 from beyond the arc, while Reese immediately dominated the boards. They looked unstoppable, but why? Did they suddenly invent a brand new offense? Absolutely not. They looked dominant because the starters, clunky spacing and all, had already spent the first 7 minutes grinding down the New Zealand defense. Even when forced into a slow, structured system, Caitlin Clark's presence is like a gravitational pull. Every possession, she drew 2 defenders, forcing the New Zealand guards to navigate a maze of screens. She drained both their physical energy and mental focus.
And just talking to Kara and our coaching staff it's not always easy for players to get into a rhythm when the coaches are messing with the lineups, and part of that is just.
By the time the second unit stepped on the floor, the defense was already spent. The bench capitalized brilliantly on the groundwork the starters had laid. This is basic basketball physics, and the coaches know it. Yet the most revealing moment of the press conference came when a reporter asked Tibbetts about the offense's early disjointedness. He said, "It's not always easy for players to get into a rhythm when the coaches are messing with the lineups. Part of that is just seeing who works well together and who doesn't. There it is, plain as day. Messing with the lineups. This is the confession, the admission of error. We are mere months away from the WNBA season. Team USA is preparing for major international tournaments, and the coaching staff is openly treating this roster like a lab experiment. They're shuffling lineups trying to see what sticks. With a generational talent like Caitlin Clark, you don't experiment. She isn't a variable in a science project. She is the foundation. The system should be built around her, with 4 players chosen to complement her speed, spacing, and court vision. The mistake was never that Clark wasn't ready to start. The mistake is that the coaching staff is afraid to hand her the keys. They're terrified of upsetting the veteran hierarchy, so they shuffle rotations, play political games, and sacrifice offensive fluidity for locker room diplomacy. But no matter how they manipulate the lineups, no matter how mismatched the starters are, Caitlin Clark's dominance cannot be hidden. The box score speaks for itself. It destroys the narrative that the starting unit was a failure. And even in a game where the coach admitted the starters struggled to find rhythm, Clark still played 23 minutes in a blowout. She scored 14 points, dished 6 assists, and did it with insane efficiency, actively adapting her game to counter international defenses. She was 4 for 4 on 2-point attempts, a perfect 100% inside the arc. When New Zealand tried to push her off the 3-point line, she didn't panic or force passes. She calmly attacked the paint, used her elite footwork, and knocked down mid-range jumpers and floaters. She's becoming a true 3-level threat, and her true impact? Look at the plus minus. She finished with a staggering plus 24. In her time on the court, Team USA outscored New Zealand by 24 points. That's more impact than almost anyone else, despite the coaches actively experimenting with lineups that didn't fit. The tape doesn't lie. The stats don't lie. And yet, the most frustrating part of this circus is the disrespect that extends beyond the hardwood and into the press room.
Dominant performance. I feel like, how come Caitlin Clark not at the podium yet? Like, she should have got player of the game or something. Even the first game that she went off in, she didn't get invited.
The commentator in this clip is absolutely livid, and for good reason. Why hasn't Caitlin Clark been called to the podium yet? She should have been player of the game. Something strange is clearly going on behind the scenes. He's pointing out a clear pattern of marginalization. When Clark comes off the bench and posts a jaw-dropping double-double, she doesn't get the spotlight. When she finally starts, drops 14 points, shoots a perfect 100% inside the arc, and leads the team to a 55-point blowout, she's left in the locker room while coaches and others take the microphones. This isn't random, it's a deliberate, it's a calculated move by media relations and the coaching staff to control the story. They're trying to convince everyone that this team is bigger than Caitlin Clark. They want to emphasize depth, veterans, and the second unit. They will go to extreme lengths to avoid letting the narrative revolve entirely around her. But it's a feeble, laughable effort. You can't block the sun with your hand. Clark doesn't need to sit at a folding table answering predictable questions to prove her greatness. She doesn't need a player of the game trophy from a committee that is actively trying to suppress her shine. Her validation happens the second she crosses half court and the defense panics. It's in sold-out arenas, record-breaking TV ratings, and the sheer terror in the eyes of every international point guard tasked with guarding her. As the coaching staff can experiment with lineups all they want, they can pair her with incompatible veterans, they can keep her away from the podium, but the truth is already undeniable, and Nate Tibbetts accidentally confirmed it. The experiments are failing, the old hierarchy is outdated. The only time this team looks like a fully synchronized, unstoppable force is when the ball is in Caitlin Clark's hands, and she's allowed to control the pace on her terms. The next matchup against Spain will be the real test. Spain isn't New Zealand, they're disciplined, tactically brilliant, and they won't forgive a sloppy, disjointed first quarter. They will exploit every miscommunication. They will punish every flawed lineups. If Tibbetts and the coaching staff don't stop experimenting and finally build a starting five designed entirely around Clark's generational talent, spacing, and playmaking, Team USA is going to be in for a serious battle. The time for political correctness is over. The era of protecting veteran egos has ended. The world knows who the best player is. The fans know it. The analytics confirm it. It's time for Team USA to stop playing games and officially crown Caitlin Clark as the queen of modern basketball. Thanks for joining me in the film room today. We don't accept mainstream narratives. We don't tolerate clickbait. We expose the truth hidden in the box score. If you want the most ruthless, tactically precise basketball analysis online, hit that subscribe button and leave a like. And in the comments, tell me, will the coaching staff finally surround Caitlin Clark with shooters and pace setters against Spain? Or will they continue forcing her to play alongside slow, methodical veterans? I'll see you in the next breakdown.